Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Anybody that follows me on my videos knows that one of my favorite flies to tie is a stonefly. Of course, this video is going to be no exception. I'm going to tie another one for you. As my evolution in tying the stonefly has progressed, I used to like to tie him to be as natural looking as I can, of course using synthetics, whatever it takes. But the more I want to fish, the quicker I want to get them tied. So I think I finally found the one that I'm going to settle on that's going to be my go-to stonefly pattern. I can tie these really quickly, and man, they've been catching fish. I just had the opportunity last weekend to fish with Gordon Vanderpool. If you get the chance, check out his YouTube videos. He's big into competition fishing and has some really good patterns in there. But Gordon spent some time working with me on my competition check nymph high sticking style of nymph fishing, and I fish a stonefly a lot. This isn't a competition fly, but it's what I use when I do this nymph fishing mostly, because I want a big heavy fly to get me down. This is the fly that I use. I'm going to be tying this with some pretty heavy lead, 0.205 lead, and a tungsten bead, and it'll get it down. One thing I wanted to say, the reason I'm doing this little intro beforehand, I tie this in 4 different colors. I tie it in black, then I tie it in 2 shades of brown. One of them I'm just going to use the brown. We're going to tie it with vinyl rib, and one of them I'll just use brown. The others, that's the darker shade of brown. The lighter shade of brown I'm going to tie with amber and use brown thread underneath it. So if you want, but the one I'm going to shoot in the video is going to be a golden stone, and I'm going to use yellow thread underneath the amber vinyl rib. So like I said, to get 4 different ones, I use 3 different materials. I'll use amber with yellow thread under it to make a golden stone. Then I'll use amber with brown thread under it. It makes a light shade of brown, really good looking shade of brown. And with that, I'm going to use a golden stone colored emergent stubbing. For my yellow stonefly here, I'm going to use the sulfur orange for the dubbing, and the black I use black. For both shades of the brown I use the golden stone. So like I said, you can color, I tie it in 4 different colors depending on what stream, and it doesn't seem to matter. I know between my son and I fishing this weekend, we caught close to 100 fish between the 2 of us, and most of them were on, in 3 days of fishing, and most of them were on the stoneflies, mostly the light browns and the golden browns. But it's really been working for me. So give this a try. Really easy to tie. I can tie them very quickly. That's the big plus to this fly. Okay, we're going to start this fly out. We're using a 1260 curved hook, Daiichi in a size 10 or a size 12 is what I've been tying these on. They've been working real well for me. The other thing we're going to use on there is a 1/8 tungsten bead, 1/8 or 3.5 millimeter, and we're going to use some cream. This is the color I'm using here. Trying to see which one it was there. Cream 140 denier ultra thread. And what I'm going to start out with is I'm just going to start out at the back of the hook here. Going to wrap my thread on. Keep my tag end on, and I'm going to wrap this back. Just keep wrapping it back around the bend. I'm going to wrap it just past the bend a little bit, and then I'm going to create a ball using my tag end to hold that thread, to not let it go past that thread, and just create a ball there that's going to splay our quills out, or our sorry, not our quills, but our biots. Okay, for the biots, I'm actually using turkey biots in, brown olive is the color I'm using this time. Use whatever color, brown, whatever you have that's close to matching. The reason I'm using the brown olive, I'm actually taking this off of the biot quills, the turkey biot quills that I used to tie the cinnamon toast caddis. I found out that I was tying that cinnamon toast caddis and had the biot quills there on the other end, and I wasn't really using them, or the biots, I mean, off the quill. And I wasn't using all those biots, and I thought, well, I'm going to start using them up. And I've been using them on these stoneflies. They're a little bit bigger, which matches the stonefly, and it works really good for me, so I got a use for them. So we're just going to tie them on there. You see how that splays them out there by creating that ball, just like we always do. Trim that off. Next I'm going to put on some lead, and I'm going to go just past the hook there with my thread, and that's where I'm going to start my lead at. And I'm using, like I said, I'm using 0.025 lead, and I'm just going to start wrapping that up, and it's going to get about 15 wraps, maybe 12, 15 wraps. And I want this to be heavy, because using this check nymph style that we've been working with, you know, I put no weight on my line. All my weight is in my fly, so I'm making this as heavy as I can get it. So now I'm going to take my thread, and I'm just going to build up to this lead, and then we'll wrap over top of the lead to wrap it down. But then once we get it wrapped down there, we're just going to wrap right behind it, and I'm just going to keep wrapping and build up a nice, just a nice taper right to that lead. I want to taper my thread right up onto it. Alright, now once I get that pretty close there, like this, I'm going to add some lively legs. Alright, the lively legs I'm using are large yellow ones for this golden stone. 3-piece legs. I'm going to cut the back two off, leave the tag on there to have something to tie down to. So you can see there I cut the back off, left the tag on. This tag in the front is a little bit long. I'm going to cut that in about half. Okay, and that's my tie down point in the front. Now I'm going to put this on the side so it'll tighten up and roll over onto the top, and just kind of loosely wrap it down until you get it where you want it. And then you can make it a little tighter. I'm just going to wrap in between the legs, and I'm wrapping it pretty loosely just so I keep it where I want it and not distort the legs. I'll end up distorting the legs a little bit with the dubbing, but it's okay, it doesn't bother the fish. And then I'm just going to cover this back tag down here, and again keep that nice taper up onto that tag there that just caused a little bit more. There we go, get that nice taper. Now I'm going to come back in between my legs, put a couple extra wraps there, a little bit tighter. Next thing I'm going to put on is my vinyl rib. Like I said, we're going to use amber on top of the cream thread, so it's going to give us a nice golden stone look. And I'm going to wrap this. This is actually in a D shape. You can't really see it here in the video, maybe a little bit. But I'm going to wrap it with the flat side facing towards me. I put it on the side, on my side, and I put the round side towards the lead and the flat side towards me. And that allows it to wrap the way I want it, with the flat side down when I start to wrap it around here in a second. Okay, now, when I get it wrapped down at the front here, where I'm wrapping it down, I kind of wrap it loosely up here. As it goes back, I'm going to pull it tight to thin out the thickness of this vinyl rib. And I'm going to wrap it clear back to the biots. Alright, then we're going to wrap this back up, and we're going to put the thread in between those front two legs. Okay, now I'm going to use my rotary vise. If you don't have one, no biggie. And I'm just going to wrap this forward. So just keep these nice tight wraps. You get a nice rib on this. Okay. And then about a wrap before your legs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come underneath, put the rib up between those two legs. I'm going to make about 3 wraps there. Get that nice and tight. Then we're going to cut this off. A couple more tighter wraps. A couple right behind. Now we're going to put some dubbing on. For dubbing, I said I'm using emergence dubbing, sulfur orange on this one. And put a little bit of wax on there. And then cover your thread with some dubbing. Don't go real heavy. You just want to cover everything up here. Okay, this is a really buggy dubbing. It's an Antron based dubbing and gives a really buggy look. And then I'm just going to zigzag back and forth so I get it all covered underneath there. Tighten that up here. Alright, then we're going to come up in front. I'm going to have to add a little bit more. It's not going to take much to get in front of that leg there. Alright, we're going to wrap this down in a figure 8 around the front legs. Keep it tight. Okay, now I'm going to add a pair of biots. I call this the stone prince because I tie it just like a prince nymph in that it has biots for wings and biots for tails, just like the prince nymph. Wing casing, I should say. Like I said, I tried to do this to cut down my time in tying. And, you know, instead of having to put all those little wing case tabs on and then double a little more and another wing case and double a little more, this has been catching fish and it's quick to tie and it's very simple to tie. So, and it's not a lot of material either. So I'm just going to crisscross those on and set it down on the top just like a prince nymph. Now I'm going to come back, put a little bit more wax. I'm just going to put a small collar on there to just tighten it up a little bit, lay them biots down. So just a touch more dubbing there. I only want to get enough to make about 3 wraps around there, 3 or 4. Put that up in front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my legs back, hold them biots down, and just wrap over them biots, a couple wraps there with your dubbing so they hold down in place. Try to get my legs back where they need to be. And then we're just going to finish off the head with the whip finish. And I'm going to put 1 extra whip finish on there. And that is all that is to this very simple fish catching stonefly. There you go. And look at how buggy that stonefly looks. I mean, that's just everything you look for in a stonefly. It's perfect size. You can go as big as an 8. An 8 wouldn't hurt you at all. I've kind of been going smaller with my flies lately, and this is no exception on my stonefly. But simple fly. Simple way to tie a stonefly. You can tie them real fast. I mean, I tied that in, about 8 minutes there. So I can hammer these out pretty quick. Give it a try. All the material to tie this fly you can find at the shop at holsingersflyshop.com. Don't be afraid to ask. If you ever have any questions, shoot me an email or comment on one of my videos. I'll be sure to get back to you. We really enjoy bringing these videos to you, so please take the time to subscribe so you're constantly updated with new content whenever we get it out to you. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'm Sean Holsinger.